My name is Glenn Wascovich. I am originally from north central Pennsylvania, about an hour west-northwest of State College. Now I live in Hallam, which is between York and the river. And I'm actually I do a couple things. I am a store manager for a retail company, as well as I'm moving into my second year as mayor of the borough of Hallam. A couple things. So I grew up in north central Pennsylvania. I grew up hunting and fishing, and I never really thought of anything like that. I thought that being a sportsman was a ethical thing to do when you harvest the animals. But I started having sinus problems, sinus infections, and I eventually ended up having sinus surgery. And after years and years of growing up eating meat and really not liking vegetables, when I came out of surgery, during my recovery was happening, I actually smelled. I remember it so vividly. I walked in the kitchen and my husband Mike was making a pizza, and I smelled it, and I didn't know what the smell was. I didn't know he was making that. So when I actually smelled it, I asked him what he was making, and he said pizza, and it smelled completely different to me. So I linked the two, that okay, if things smell completely different, then they're going to taste different. And my grandfather's been vegan for 33 years now, and I figured, I call myself an environmentalist. I am a big advocate for rights of everyone. Why can I not try to be an advocate for animals? So I decided I'm going to try to eat clean and eat healthy, and I started eating vegan, and I found that it was very easy. I actually loved the taste of the vegetables and the vegan options back then, which are now even way more. So it actually was a very easy transition for me. This is my 6th year. Actually, it'll be 6 years in May. I think it's May 12th will be 6 years for me. There was no looking back. Because I think for me, I'm the kind of person that when I make a decision, I'm all in. And it was really easy for me because at first it started out for health reasons. And as I did it, pretty shortly thereafter, after I started being vegan, I realized how much better I felt. So the health part was right. But then I realized I don't want that negative energy associated with the way I view it as death. I don't want that in my body. I don't want that anywhere near me. So it started as for health reasons, and it turned into now, the next year into it is really because I have a passion, and I really can't justify taking some things life for my own benefit when it's not something that I need, and it's something that causes me harm by eating meat and animal byproducts. So it turned into a compassion, and it just feels good knowing that every creature that I look at, from a human being to a bird, is part of a positive energy for me that I can link to, and I'm grateful that I'm able to do that for them. So being from north central Pennsylvania, I was actually homeschooled for 11 years, and my senior year I went to high school, and it was really tough. Granted, this was 2005, and we're now in 2019, but I ran for mayor in 2017 of a borough of roughly 2,500 people, and a pretty big ratio gap between the party that I am and the opposite party. I'm a Democrat, and in the borough we have, I believe, over 800 plus Republicans and right around 600 Democrats. You would think that in this area of the state, I guess, you would have an uphill battle being a gay person, let alone somebody who's not, I don't consider myself somebody who's quiet. I'm not a reserved kind of person, but I do listen, and that's something that was instilled in my mind at a very, very young age. So going door to door is actually my favorite thing. Whether I'm running or not, I just like talking to people. But it was actually, there were some instances that I was definitely, there's a different treatment, absolutely. Not as extreme as I would think, and maybe most people would think, being in York County, but there was some. I'll never forget in the general election, when they post the election results on the outside of the door, reading the write-ins from certain voters. They wrote some pretty nasty things about me, things like vote for anyone but the homo. That was tough to read, but at the end of the day, whether I'm elected or not, I'm still a community member with everyone. And regardless of if someone doesn't agree with me, that doesn't matter. It's how I live if you treat everyone with respect and dignity, no matter what. So going to different functions and borough association dinners and stuff like that, there's never anything that I can eat, which can be challenging at times, because often people will ask me, are you not hungry? And there's that guilt of you don't want to offend, but the reality is it opens the door for opportunity for conversation and education about how I live, from the materials that I have in my home, to the way I eat, to just the way I live my daily life. So there's a lot of opportunity for education, and you would think, at least I kind of struggle with this, understanding living in York County, in such an agriculturally saturated area. We have all this produce growing all around us, but no vegan places to eat. Everything's so commercialized, and I guess that's maybe not unique to York County, but it's strange to me. Now we're getting more options of places to eat, and even places that carry vegan products, which is really helpful. But there are daily challenges that we face. My husband, Mike, is a carnivore, and for a while, when I started being vegan, he decided to go vegetarian, for his own reasons, but also just to have that support system, and I think that's really important. He since decided to start eating animal products again, and it's not something that's difficult, I would say, but it's definitely something we're conscious of. I mean, we have separate cooking pans we use, just because that's the decision I make, as I don't want the cross-contamination. And Mike's been very, very supportive of my decision, because at the end of the day, it is a decision, and very supportive and respectful of the boundaries that I don't want that kind of stuff. Even walking in our kitchen when we're cooking something, or when Mike's cooking something, if he makes chicken, at this point, the smell will make me nauseous, really. But he's conscious of that, and he respects that, and I'm very lucky and fortunate in that way. We have our joking sessions where we kind of pick on each other, obviously. What I always go to quickly, because we have two German Shepherds, Princess and Apollo, and when Mike's eating a piece of chicken, I'll jokingly look at him and I'll say, how can you do that? You're eating, or how can you look at Princess and Apollo? They know what you're doing, that you would eat them. And it's all in good fun. But there are some daily challenges, I guess you could say, with a household that's split in something that's so basic and needed as eating your food and how you live. But it's fun. I think veganism is absolutely something that's moving forward, and I'm excited about that. Not in terms of, a lot of people think that vegans are this, pushing things down your throat, and we're not. That's a decision we made, from something as basic as what we're eating to something as simple as the route we decide to take to go home from work. It doesn't impact other people. It can, though, impact our planet, and it absolutely can impact people in terms of having them live a better, a healthier, and in my mind, a more fulfilling life. Because for me, and I think a lot of people out there, we live in a society that is so hung up and so focused on what's next, and not living in the moment and living in the present time. And for me, this allows me to be able to do that more. I have, since I've become vegan almost 6 years ago, I've met people that are in my town, neighbors, my family, some of them have become vegan. And I think that's really cool. We know that statistically it's becoming very, very popular very quickly. and I think that's a great thing. We have to, it's part of the environmental acknowledgement that we have to do something as a human race and step in and intervene. We can't, it's not sustainable for us to mass produce animals for our consumption. It's just not something we need to be doing, and we have to recognize that. So for me, it's really about, it's a whole host of reasons why I'm passionate about this. But at the end of the day, it comes down to animals are, I'm an animal. We're all in this together. And I think for us to separate animals, if you will, from human beings is not, it's not conducive of really and truly how we should be living. We have obligations as human beings to respect and have dignity for everyone and display that. And part of that is across the board for everything we touch, from our carbon footprint to the way we interact with other people and the way we interact with other species. It's really important that we act on that and that we really step up to the plate, if you will, I guess, and take on something that can seem difficult at first. And for some, it is a challenge, but anything worth fighting for is not easy. It's not supposed to be. And I think that's something we need to keep in mind, that if your heart and your soul is into something and you know it's the right thing and you believe in it, it's not hard. And if it is hard, then it will get better and easier. And we know this from, back being vegan, like my grandfather did it 33 years ago, when there was no diet cheese, there were no restaurants really, except for maybe in LA and Berkeley. But now we have restaurants in New York that have vegan options. We have restaurants in Lancaster. We have places at Central Market where you can go and you can shop with dignity and be part of a functioning society with dignity. So I guess in closing, I would say thanks for listening, and absolutely some words of encouragement for anybody thinking that they, maybe it's time for a lifestyle change, or it's time for something in your life to change in some capacity. What I would say is, don't go off of what you're used to seeing, go off of what you are passionate about, and don't be afraid to take on something that might be a little bit difficult at first, or people might ask a lot of questions. That's a good thing, because at the end of the day, people are getting educated on something you feel passionately about, and that could turn into them feeling passionate about it. Being an advocate for animal rights is something that comes naturally for me, and I actually know that it comes natural for a lot of people. So we just need to step up, learn, and act on it. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope I wasn't too boring, and keep fighting the good fight.